There we go. Well, looks like text messages are going to start coming in. Just going live a little early to get everything set up. Should have put the ice in here first. "71 episodes." All right, let's see here. All right. Going to get to the content here in just a second. Let me get this going. Where's my monster? There she is. Okay, that should be good. Now, let me go to this internet website. Stop getting noises from the computer. We'll go ahead and do this. Did I spell all of that right? Yep. Just one capital letter that should have been lowercase. Don't let one part of your life define you. Save. Okay. Now let's reload this page. Why does it not work? There we go. All right, now share, copy, Facebook. My stuff. All right. Share. Share. My timeline. So I'll usually like post a few minutes ahead of time when I'm going to go live. But doing that doesn't seem to change the numbers at all. So I just went live without any warning. So I'm just going to start doing that. All right. So now we have shared. Let's get out of this. Let's get out of this. And let's start talking this. This is probably going to be a shorter one today because I'm honestly yearning to get back to the couch and check out that new Netflix show that I'm talking about, which we'll talk about that at the end. All right, here we go on the audio. After I mute the song. Oh, no, no, no. On the wrong channel. All right. So I just got done having dinner with my folks. My parents came down, and two of my sisters and one of my brother-in-laws we went to get some grubs, and they went to go spend some dollars at the mall, and I opted to come back here and talk to you guys, or talk to myself. Me and my stepmom had this conversation about she was watching my birthday episode, and she was like, I just laughed so hard. You're asking questions, and then you're answering them, and then you're realizing you're answering them for yourself, and then you're saying that you realized you answered them, and that was just so funny. And I told her, I was like, crazy people who talk to themselves are institutionalized. Unless you video it and record it, then it's okay, right? So I can just record myself talking to myself, and it's fine then. So anyway, in not talking to me, but to you guys, I noticed another something else, and I told them what I was going to talk about today, and we sort of bounced it around a little bit at the table, or I did. And the thing that I really want to talk about is a conversation that was started last night at trivia. Me and Mr. Bill, you guys aren't, for those of you who are not familiar, I don't see how there's anybody who listens to the podcast who would not know this, but I love trivia. I love to play trivia, and it's just something I love to do, and I always have. And the trivia team that I play with, you guys should know that because I released an episode of the trivia. Okay, I forgot I did that. So you guys should be caught up on the whole trivia madness. If you didn't listen to that bonus content of us playing trivia, you should go back and listen to that just to see what that's like. But anyway, last night me and Mr. Bill were talking before Patrick got to trivia, and he was telling me a story about he was hanging out with I think maybe a couple of vegans, and he was making a joke that if you cook the meat really, really, really well done, it's not red meat anymore, it's brown meat, so they should be able to eat that. And he said that obviously he said it jokingly, but he said that these people were just totally ripping him a new asshole because he just said that, and they were, and he's like, I'm just calm down, I'm just joking, I'm just, it's not funny, it's not this, it's not. And then we began to talk about how sad it is that a lot of humans use one thing about their life. They'll take one small part of their life, or one small thing, one small part of them and who they are, and they just completely exploit that. And it's funny how a lot of people do things like that. And I was talking to my folks about it at dinner a while ago, and I said that it's the same as church people. Church people are the same way. And growing up in church, you meet these people who every single time you see them, you bump into them at the grocery store. Like, how's it going? How are you doing? Oh, the Lord's just blessed me so much. He's done this, he's done that, and he's made life better for me. He's done all these great things, and I'm very happy for these people who have found that in their lives. Something that makes them that happy. But to let one single part of your life define everything about it, I think is a really unhealthy thing. And talking about the vegan thing is what really started this conversation. And I've heard Joe Rogan say a bunch, like, everything about these people's life is about being vegan. Like, and you see the jokes on Facebook all the time, or the memes that go around about, like, I met this guy who a vegan CrossFit, and I I learned everything about veganism and CrossFit within the first 5 minutes of this conversation because that's all they know how to talk about. And like I said, there's nothing wrong in the world with letting one aspect of your life shine through occasionally. But to let it's like when you're a kid, when you're a kid and you first find out about dinosaurs. Everybody you talk to, you want to know who their favorite dinosaur is or whatever. And that's a kid thing. When you grow up, it's best to keep I'm a Libra. It's best to keep the balance in your life. It's best to not put all your weight on one side of the scale. And I'm just amazed at how many people do that. And I had one of those aha moments last night in having this conversation with Bill before trivia started. And I wonder how many people actually do that in their lives and don't know it. And I ask that question because I am one of those people who did that with my life and didn't know it. I would let, just like I've mentioned this in the last 2 or 3 episodes, I think. So we're going for a hat trick here. I have let the fact that my family, like a lot of my close family members, passed away over the holiday season, over wintertime, and or let the fact that everyone who lived in the house that I grew up in is no longer with us except for me. And I realized that I would let that small fact about myself completely adjust every other aspect of my life, if you will. And I just don't know. I just don't know how I allowed myself to do that for so long without noticing it. And I guess it's easy for somebody to get caught up in something and to not realize that they're doing a certain thing, or that they're just basing every other portion of their life around the one thing that they understand. Like, I used to have a really bad problem with linking everything in my life to the way that I played music, which the way that I play music is very shooting from the hip, if you will. It's not a lot of planning that goes into it. And it's just like, we're going to get there, we're going to do this, and however it turns out is how it turns out. And thankfully that usually works out. And learning how to play that way has allowed me and the boys and everybody else to get to a certain status of musicianship, I think. And I'm very happy about that. But I would do every aspect of my life like that, like just show up and we'll figure it out when we get there. And that doesn't really work because I'm not as good at everything else in my life as I am at music. I'm not near as good at anything else in my life, I don't think, as I am at music. And to use that sort of an approach on like finances is not a very smart thing. It's for instance, in playing music, somebody would request a song and I'll be like, you know what? I've never tried this before, but let's go ahead and do it. Why not? We'll see what happens at the end. And to link that into finances, it's like, I'll make more money. I can just spend. I have this much money, so I can spend this much money. And that's sort of the, and I guess that's not such a good analogy, but that's sort of the same vein that I'm getting at. Let me take some of this out. There you go. That's sort of the same vein. And it's very funny that people are totally unbeknownst to themselves, molding their entire life around one branch of their tree. Think of everything in your life, everything that you do in your life, and everything that you consistently do you are a tree. And the things that you do in your life are branches that grow from this tree. Visualize this. And to put everything, all of your eggs in one basket, for lack of a better term, is literally like living on one branch of your tree. Now, this could work. It could be a very strong branch that'll never break. But just in case it isn't a very strong branch and it breaks, you're screwed because you've lived your entire life on this one branch and you've neglected the rest of the tree. And that can't be good, right? And that doesn't sound safe to me. So in talking about vegans who every single time you bring up a conversation with someone who practices or is a vegan, 9 times out of 10, that's going to make an appearance in the conversation. And every conversation is going to be like, oh, well, you can be talking about your favorite movie. And this person will be like, oh, my God, I love that movie. That movie reminds me of the first time that I realized that, eating meat was murder. Or whatever, however they work. I don't know how they do it or how they talk or whatever they say. But they always bring the one thing back. Or the same thing going back into the whole church thing. Like if you start a conversation, you ask somebody how they're doing, and everything that they want to talk about is just how much God's blessed them and everything. I'm very happy that God has blessed them, by the way. I'm not taking anything away from them. But to put everything in that, through that filter, like everything that you're going to say or everything that you're going to think has to run through that filter before it leaves your mouth, I just don't think is a very safe thing to do. And anywho, let me take a sip of water here. Made it. We're back. So, anywho, I think that I had done the same thing for a very long time. I feel like I let the one small portion of my life totally run the rest of my life. Like I just handed over the keys to my life to this one thing that this one thing about myself that I couldn't unsee. And I know that there are a lot more people out there that do the same thing who don't realize it. So I guess this talk is for you. If there are certain things that have happened throughout my life that I'm not happy about, and I've struggled mentally with these things mostly over the wintertime for a very long time. And anybody who's close to me knows that over the wintertime, I'm not the same person. I literally change. I change into another person. And that's been going on for a very long time. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to chalk that up to the fact that everything that I think in my life and everything that I struggled with and everything that I've tried to, sweep under the rug for the most part, that always ends up coming out. I would basically, be living in this picture this mansion, this beautiful house. I'm living in this beautiful house, and everything is spotless, and I'm laying in bed, but I can't sleep because all I can think about is all of the trash and all the junk that I've swept under the rugs. And I feel like keeping my mind on just the garbage and just the shit, basically, and just the horrible parts of my life that I tried to forget or just didn't want to remember, I guess. I've just sort of neglected the rest of this mansion that I've been blessed enough to live in, like pretty much considering my life is like this mansion. Like, it's not going bad. Like, things are actually going pretty well. And to just let this one little part of my life that I have a negative emotion towards, or a negative mentality or mindset towards, to just completely run that entire portion of, or to completely run the rest of my life, I guess you would say, is just foolish. And I see that now, and I'm saying all these things for somebody who may not see that now, who may struggle with something, and maybe it's a huge problem. Maybe it's something, much bigger than the things that I've given an example of in my own life. And I understand that. I understand how that can be really hard to cope with things that you struggle with in your own life. Because I struggle a lot myself. I understand how difficult that is. But there's an eyelash. But to get so bogged down into a negative world because of this small little, like if you cook an omelet and you throw the eggshells in the trash can, like you 3 eggshells, and everything else you throw in the trash can does not put off any odor at all. Those 3 tiny eggshells, if you don't take your trash out, is going to create the worst smell in the world in your house. And that's exactly how this negativity works. It's nothing. It's the smallest, tiniest, little, most minuscule problem that every year gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But the more you leave it there, and the more you fixate on it, and the more you think about it, the worse it's going to get. The only way to really get rid of that, the only way to get out of that funk, is to literally take out that trash, for lack of a better term, to just get rid of those things. And not necessarily, I guess that's not the greatest analogy that I could have used, but it's still a way to, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Visualize this thing that I'm trying to say, I guess. And it's not so easy when it's something that you can't get rid of. Like, for instance, I'll go back to the thing that I actually know, which is my personal problem. Knowing that I don't have these family members that I love and miss in my life, knowing that they're not there for me to actually physically see anymore, speak to, or connect with, that is never going to change. So that is not something that I can necessarily take out. But what I can take out is the fact that I feel negatively about this. And as I stated in the last episode, or maybe the one before that, it's really easy once you decide, okay, well, these people aren't with me anymore physically, but that means that they are actually more so now with me spiritually, which I think is much more important than physically. I think it's much more important to be able to have a spiritual connection with someone than a physical connection with someone, or even be able to physically see someone. I think it is more important to physically or spiritually be with someone than to physically be with someone, which honestly probably has a lot to do with or I said that backwards. Probably me not going home a lot or not spending a whole lot of time with my family is probably because I feel that my spiritual connection with them is more powerful and more important than my physical connection with them, or me actually being physically near them, because I know that we're not actually physically together all the time, but they're always with me, and they're always on my mind, and they're always part of my conscience, and I just feel that spiritual connection more so than I feel that very strongly. And I also feel that with a lot of the negative things as well. And I am just getting to the point to where I'm realizing that I'm wasting my time by focusing on these negative portions of of life, I guess, or negative portions of my life, or things where I just want an excuse to feel sorry for myself. And no good comes from that. No good really comes from sitting around and pitying yourself. I mean, sure, if maybe you've been run over all your life and maybe you haven't realized it, and maybe everybody just takes advantage of you, and you realize it one day and you get all embarrassed about it and you lay around and you just feel sorry for yourself for a little while. I could see that because I actually did that once, and I felt sorry for myself for a little while, but I realized that I was starting to feel sorry for myself. So I got myself out of that slump and, tried to move on to other things like writing and whatnot, and just certain things to get negativity off of my chest and off of my shoulders. And I think that that's a pretty safe thing to do. But it's not good to dwell on these things. And I guess I sort of started this off, and this talk sort of had a mind of its own, I guess. And I sort of figured that because I couldn't figure out what I wanted to talk about. And I was thinking about this last night, and that conversation sparked with Mr. Bill. And we started talking about the vegans and how everything in their life is all about veganism. And then I came back to him with the church thing, and like, and I say the church thing I don't mean to piss anybody off with that analogy, because I'm a Christian as well, and I do pray and I love God. But 90% of the people who are around me will vouch for the fact that that's not part of my conversation usually. I usually, if somebody has if I have a conversation with God or the Bible about somebody, it's 9 times out of 10 because they have prompted me with that question, or someone asks me why, or if somebody goes on a deep dive into how I ended up quitting alcohol and how I ended up quitting cocaine or just drugs in general, or just any of those conversations will usually lead with, well, I had some help. And I have no problem in the world talking about that and sharing those things. But it's not something that I bring up every conversation like a lot of people do. And honestly, I feel like that's one of the things that sort of keeps people from wanting to be a Christian, I think. Because if someone is not a Christian, and every time they talk to this one person, all they talk about is God, I don't see that bringing that person closer. And I say that because that wouldn't bring me closer. It would sort of run me away. Like if all I hear all the time is this one thing, that'll just probably run me away. And I assume, I guess, just like most other people in the world do, that everybody else thinks the same way that I do. So I guess that's my fault for just thinking that more people think like I do. But in case there are more people who think like I do, I would rather try to fish for the people in a way that make it their idea, Like don't sit there and shove this your ideals and your what's the word I'm looking for? Just the things that you find, or the things that you're passionate about in your life, they're not important to everybody else like they are you. So understanding that is one huge step. The second huge step is not letting that seep out of your pores. It's hard to keep something that you're so passionate about inside. I understand that. But if your MO is to change people's mind and to, make the world around you better suited for you, I guess, and I say you, I guess I'm just talking to me. If I really want to make the world better suited for me, I guess the best way to do that would be just let it do its thing, and because we're not going to ever suit the world to ourselves. Here, am I having another one of these realizations again? This is fun. See, I always try to make the world a more comfortable place for me to live in. And that's literally just driven me into my own house where I don't leave and I don't really communicate with people and I don't really do anything other than the podcast and watch Netflix. And I'm fine with that. I really enjoy spending I really enjoy spending time by myself. I love alone time. I actually prefer it. And we had a conversation the other day, Adam and Smitty, when we got back from the pilot house. I was getting back. I got dropped off in my car, and Smitty was like, "Dude, I don't know how you spend that much time alone, man. Dude, I could never spend that much time alone, like by myself." And Adam was like, "You know what, man? I really enjoy my alone time." And I was like, "Bullshit, man. You sit by yourself for like 10 minutes, and you got to be FaceTiming somebody or calling somebody." He cannot stand to be alone. But I really do enjoy my alone time. I like being by myself, and it's nothing against anybody. Nothing personal. I just really, get very easily agitated with the world and with people in it, and I know that that's not a healthy trait. So I guess I just try to stay to where if anything goes wrong with me here, I'm the only one to blame. Because I do like to lay blame. I do like to lay blame if something goes wrong. I like to lay blame elsewhere. And try my best always to take the blame off of me. But I realize I struggle with that, so I guess subconsciously I've been trying to get myself over that. Also, I've been trying to get myself over letting these negative thoughts that I have and these negative things that have happened in my childhood or in my life to ruin every other aspect of my life that's going well. Because there have been times that there are really good things going on in my life around me, and I just cannot see them because of this one little speck that is on this giant, beautiful canvas. There's this one little spot in this painting of my life that I cannot stop looking at. I used to, when I recorded my first album, it was called The Acoustic B-Side, and I was so proud of it. I was like 19 years old. I recorded this record, and I was the only one on the album. I played all of the guitar parts. I did all the harmonies. I was very proud of it. And everybody told me how good this album was. Everybody around me told me how much they really enjoyed these songs and this music. But all I could think about was how I screwed up a harmony line or a guitar part in this one song, and that's all I could hear. So I totally neglected 5 decent songs that I don't even play anymore because there are certain parts of those songs that I've heard in the recording that I just didn't like. So I literally wrote off a decent album worth songs just because of one simple screw up that I made. And that's not fair to the album. That's not fair to those songs that I put time and effort into. And it's also not fair to myself or the people around me to just carry that negativity around with me and wear it like a backpack. Like, it's just not, that doesn't make for a good experience in my life for myself or in anybody else's lives who come in contact with me. I don't see that making for a good experience. And I'm making a conscious effort now in my life to, instead of focusing on the negativity and focusing on things that really don't matter, I'm really trying to make this effort to see through all of that and actually get to the meat of what being happy is. And I think that's what it is, really. I don't know that there is a such thing, and I just had this great thought. So I think maybe that I thought that happiness was just the absence of sadness, but I don't think that's what it is anymore. I just had this thought. I think that happiness is knowing that the sadness is there and still being okay with it. I really think that might be what the trick is. I don't know if you're able to eliminate sadness, or if you're able to eliminate pain or negativity or negative thoughts or whatever it may be. Maybe it's literally just, maybe being happy is just knowing that all of those things happen and that negativity is there and it does exist and that pain is real and you have these issues, but it's still okay. Knowing all of that and seeing that it's there, just like the depression analogy that I made with the snake. If there's a snake inside your house and you don't know where it is, it freaks you out. And yes, all you can think about is, oh my God, where is that snake? But if you can see it and you know that it's there, then if you know that it's there, then you can look at it and you know where it is. If something is not as scary when you see it. Like any scary movie that you watch, once a monster in a movie has a face to it, it's always been less scary to me for some reason. And I guess that sadness is nothing but a monster that needs a face. Except it's your face. It's the face you wear every day. But it's the same face that happiness wears. Wow, where's all this coming from? It's the same face that your happiness wears. It's just, I don't know where this stuff comes from. This is one of the main reasons why I believe that there is something past this layer of consciousness that we're on right now. Because I've never thought those things before, nor have I ever said them. And I don't feel like they came from my consciousness. I don't feel like they came from within me. It seems like that came from somewhere else. The same face that your sadness wears, your happiness also wears. I guess it just depends on which one. Well, no, it's just the same one. I guess it just depends on which one you want to focus on. I guess what I'm saying, and I'm going to wrap this one up because I've already gone a little bit longer than I expected to and thought I would. But I guess in closing on this one, don't let one portion of your life control every other portion of your life. Don't confine yourself to that. You're better than that, and you deserve better than that. The people around you are better than that, and they deserve better than that too. Don't let a few, just like the old analogy that somebody says something negative to you that lasts 3 or 4 seconds, and you let that 3 or 4 seconds ruin their 23 something hours. Smitty's calling me. But they let you ruin the other 20 something hours that you have in your life and random odd minutes, however, do the math. But don't let that, I lost my train of thought when I got a phone call just now, but I guess just don't let the negativity run your life. Try to see through the negativity and try to learn from it. Do the best that you can, and if you get to the point where you think that negativity is bigger than your ability to handle it, get up with me. Send me a message. All right. So the Netflix show that I'm going to get back to right now is called The Haunting of Hill House, and it's pretty scary. I wouldn't say that it's I think the storyline is really good. It depends on your scale of scariness. I'm not sure what you think is scary or not, but I would give it on my personal scale of actual scariness and jump factor. One being, what would one be? I don't know. Either way, 10 being like you jump several times out of the whole thing. I've been watching this show on Netflix probably 6-7 episodes already. I've watched, and I've jumped once in 6 or 7 episodes. So it's not very jumpy, but the storyline is really good, and I like the characters. I like the character development. It's a fun show to watch. But anyway, I'm going to get back to watching it. I want to thank you guys for listening to me ramble about nonsense and have revelations about my own life. Talking to Nick and Laura last night. Nick's going to be on an episode. Alicia, talked to her the other night at Trivia. She's going to be back on an episode soon coming up. Once I get through this week of, I've got a pretty busy week for the rest of this week. And once I get through this, I'll be able to get on the calendar. So the second half of the month, which is already underway, we're going to be doing a bit more guest talks than just me up here rambling, talking to myself. But anyway, I do appreciate you guys listening to me talk to myself. All right. That's all I got for you today. Be good people. In a world full of bad people, in a world full of people making a choice to be a bad person, don't be one of those people. Make the choice to be a good person. Recycle your plastics. Haven't said that in a while. Do all of the good things. Do all of the good things. All right, I'm going to let you get back to your lives. Love you. Mean it. Peace, bitches. All right, now let's do a little intro. Hey, guys, how you living? You doing well? Good. Glad to hear that. So in this talk, I had another one of those aha moments for myself where I'm just sitting here saying things and letting my mouth just speak. And I hear these things that I'm saying, and I come to realizations in my own life and have aha moments. And yeah, so that happened again, and we're gonna be doing a lot more guest talks in the coming days. But I've been using these last few solo talks as a therapy for myself, I guess you could say. These are helping me. These talks are literally helping me work through problems that I've had and I no longer want to have in my life. So I appreciate you guys allowing me to use this vessel to do just that. So yeah, that's what the content is about. Pretty much is about people who let one little small part of their lives orchestrate how everything else in their life plays out. So not going to give you any spoilers for that. But I will ask you, if you will, please subscribe to the Kelsey Hudgens YouTube channel. Please leave reviews on iTunes. Please leave reviews on the podcast app. Please leave reviews on Podomatic and also iTunes. Go to Facebook, MI Stuff. I don't know if it's podcast. I think it's just MI Stuff, maybe podcast. Please go like the Facebook page so you can see when I share things and share all these videos and whatnot, talks, randomness. Get involved in that. If you want to be part of the Discord channel, get up with me. I'll send you a link to the Discord channel. Send me an email to, misnerds@gmail.com. misnerds@gmail.com. Send me an email to that. Send me a message on Facebook to the My Stuff podcast, MI Stuff. Anything else? Oh, Patreon. We have a Patreon. I haven't shared any of that yet. Patreon is basically, if you guys are happy with the content that we're putting out, you can commit to a certain amount of monthly dollars that you would want to commit to the podcast if that's your thing. And I haven't really shared that a lot because I felt sort of bummy with the GoFundMe stuff when I kept asking for dollars on GoFundMe. I sort of felt like a bum, begging for money, and I didn't like the way that felt. But if you are indeed happy with the content and you feel like you want to help out a little bit, Patreon is the way to do that. I'll drop a link to the Patreon in the description for this episode if you're interested in that. Check it out. And watch Netflix. Watch The Haunting of Hill House. It's pretty good. There's a lot of stuff that I've neglected on Netflix because I'm trying to catch up on Cheers. But I got through season 5 of Cheers and watched a couple episodes of season 6 and paused it to check out this show, which I really dig. So, yeah, that's it. I think that's all I got for you. Yep. So come see Cornbread at the Pit tomorrow night, Thursday night, 8 to 12. Friday night, Neil and Pam's, 8 to 12. Saturday night, we're going to be in Summerville, South Carolina. Pork Chop, Chip Harrelson's going to be playing bass with us. That's a 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock gig. And Sunday, we have the tribute to the band at the Pit. And we're also doing a 3 to 5 at Bubba's for the Hurricane Florence. Anyway, without further ado, episode number 71 of My Stuff. Enjoy, motherfuckers. Nailed it. Now let's do the volume change. Let's do that there. Nope. That's fine. And we'll do this to drag down to here. We'll do this there. So this will go like this. All right. So I just got further ado. Episode number 71 of My Stuff. Enjoy, motherfuckers. All right. So, copy. Where's my all right? Let's see. I've been pretty good about finding them lately. Is that it? All right. Got it. This is like a game. I'm sorry. I get so excited. Get up with me. Send me a message. All right. So the Netflix show that I'm going to get back to right now is called The Haunting of Hill House, and it's pretty scary. I wouldn't say that it's like actually. I think. I think. All right. I'm gonna fade that out like that. Peace, bitches. Oh, shit. All right, now let's bring this volume end to here so it will stop whenever it's faded. There we go. File, save, share, export, save. Yep. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Love you. Mean it. Be safe out there. Be good people in a world full of shitheads. Don't be one.